The Fed has spoken. The message is clear. There is no rush to cut rates. Jerome Powell did not cut rates yesterday, y'all. He said uncertainty is still elevated. Meanwhile, we had big three earnings, y'all. Shout out to Ice Cube for the big three league. But we had big three earnings yesterday after market close. We had Meta, Tesla, and Microsoft. And we'll get into that a little bit later. This morning, pre-market, we had Caterpillar and MasterCard. And we'll check that out soon. I look up the charts. I give you the breaking news so you don't have to look it up. Just tune in. I got you. This is the $1 trillion ticker family legacy mantra. I deserve to be healthy. I deserve to be happy. I deserve the wealth that I am building for me and my family. Riches and freedom, they come to our hands. I am the master of all I command. My learning is limitless. My earnings are too. The more I discover, the more I can do. The stock market is a machine of design, and I have the power to make that wealth mine. I am capable. I am skilled. I am bold. Blessings on the journey as the vision unfolds. All right, let's check out some of these earnings right quick, y'all. Meta beat on the top and bottom, and as you can see, it is running. It ran after. This is the aftermarket, this dark blue, this blue section here, and this is the pre-market, this brown section. So as you can see, we closed yesterday at 668, and we about to open in 9 minutes at 734, y'all. So Meta went crazy. Yes, Meta went crazy. All right, let's check out Tesla. Tesla did beat on the top and bottom. It did run up crazy in the aftermarket, but it's been falling in the pre-market. So it's only up a little bit in the pre-market. And Microsoft also had earnings. They beat on the top and bottom, but the market didn't like it. And as you can see, it's down a lot from it closed yesterday at 481, and right now it's at 447, even though they beat on the top and the bottom. So that's why it's tough to try to play earnings, because they could beat and still drop crazy. All right, in the pre-market today, we had Caterpillar. Let's see, Caterpillar, they beat very nicely. Blowout earnings on the top and bottom. And as you can see, they closed yesterday at 643, ran all the way up to 687, and right now it's at 655. And MasterCard, they also had earnings in the pre-market. Very nice beat on earnings, and they beat on revenue. But as you can see, yesterday they closed at 521, and right now it's at 531. So shout out MasterCard. We had a trade balance announcement here. It came in at negative 56.8 billion, and it was forecasted to be negative 43.4 billion. So that is not good for the dollar. As you know, the dollar's been going down crazy, y'all. All right, this next segment comes from Robert Greene, The Daily Law, and it reads as so. Trust yourself. You are already wired in a specific way. The wiring is not something you chose. It was there from the beginning. It is your DNA, your unique blend of inclinations and tastes. You cannot become who you really are if you're constantly looking at others, comparing your progress to theirs, or trusting their judgment over your own. Most of us spend our lives trying to fit into boxes that others have built for us. We follow the paths that lead to comfort and approval, but in doing so, we move further away from our life's tasks. To reach mastery, you must listen to that small inner impulse voice that tells you what you genuinely love. Become an anomaly. Embrace your strangeness. Your source of power is the very thing that makes you different from everyone else. When it comes to investing, people try to sell you a map that isn't yours, but your legacy is built on your own temperament. When it comes to trading, the machine tries to make you a clone of every other panicked trader. To win, you must be authentic. Authenticity is the ultimate edge. Stop trading like them and start trading like you. All right. Let's check out these market caps, y'all. Let's check out the market caps. So the market caps, the most valuable company in the world, 4.66 trillion. That's NVIDIA. Followed by Google, back over 4 trillion. Y'all, Google is at 4.05 trillion. Followed by Apple, which is 3.78 trillion. Then Microsoft, 3.58 trillion. Amazon, 2.59 trillion. TSM, 1.77 trillion. Meta, 1.68 trillion. AVGO, 1.57 trillion. Tesla, 1.43 trillion. And Berkshire.B, 1.02 trillion, y'all. Let's check out these pre-market levels. NVIDIA pre-market low 190.21, pre-market high 191.78. Google pre-market low 340.76, pre-market high 342.79. Looks like Google will be opening at an all-time high, y'all. Apple pre-market low 257.30, pre-market high 258.77. Microsoft pre-market low 445.16, pre-market high 456.71. Amazon pre-market low 240.81, pre-market high 243.34. TSM pre-market low 338.44, pre-market high 342.15. TSM dropping a lot overnight, y'all. All right, AVGO pre-market low 329.17, pre-market high 332.90. AVGO is back in the gap, y'all. Meta, y'all. Yes, Meta is finally running. Meta pre-market low 713.22, pre-market high 738.91. Tesla pre-market low 436.44, pre-market high 445.10. And Berkshire.B pre-market low 473.02, pre-market high 474.34. All right, while I read the news, I'm going to put this trading view display up here. You have the top 8 most valuable companies in the world. Starting top left-hand corner, we have NVIDIA. To the right, we have Google, followed by Apple and Microsoft. And then underneath NVIDIA, we have Amazon. To the right, we have TSM, followed by AVGO and Meta Platforms. All right, let's get into the news. Let's see what we got, y'all. Apple has earnings after market close, along with SanDisk. SanDisk been going crazy. Even last year, they went crazy too, and they still going crazy this first month of the year. It's pretty incredible, y'all. So we'll see if they continue when they drop these earnings. Visa also has earnings after market close, y'all. All right, Yesterday I read some of the things that the Black Panthers were doing. This was a 19 Keys post. So I didn't read all of them, but yesterday I didn't read all of them because it was too many, and I'm just going to read a little bit more today. It says, the Black Panthers weren't a threat because of guns. They were killed because of organizing. The guns and aesthetics gets copied, but their true power was infrastructure. They were targeted because they built a parallel system with real capacity. They had centralized leadership and decentralized execution. They had structured political education curriculum for all members. They had a clear chain of command and internal accountability. They had a cadre development, not just mass membership. Coordinated national strategy rather than isolated activism. Armed patrols paired with legal literacy and constitutional study. Deep study of law, policy, and state power. Economic analysts rooted in material conditions, not just symbolism. Organized alliances with labor unions, student groups, and other movements. There's a lot more to it, but I'll get to that tomorrow. All right, this next piece of news. Oh, wait a minute. Market open, market open, market open. Let's get to it, y'all. The market is open January 29th, 2026, 6:30 a.m. The market is open. Let's check out these numbers, y'all. NVIDIA is barely over break even at 191.69. Google is up over 1% at over 1% at 340. Apple is up over 1% at 258.60. Microsoft is down. Ooh, Microsoft is down almost 10% at 435. Amazon barely under break even at 242.79. TSM is down almost 1% at 339.69. AVGO is up. AVGO bounced out the gap. Y'all is trying to move. AVGO is up 0.5% at 335. Meta is up 9%. Meta is up 9% at 331, y'all. So if Meta can get out of this gap today and turn this gap into, well, actually, it filled the gap. So we got to close this gap. We got to delete this gap. I think it might be another gap. Yep. So the gap that was above has been filled, but it has created this new gap. So last earnings, it gapped down $100. This earnings, it gapped up. I think like $60, something like that. All right. So we got a new gap. So hopefully this new gap will be support and continue to the upside. Tesla is up almost 2% at 438.30. And Berkshire.B barely under break even at 473.42, y'all. All right. Before we get into the other tickers, let's check out the Fear and Greed Index. Let's see. Let's check it out, y'all. Had a refresh. We are in greed, y'all. We are in the middle of greed. We are at 63 on the Fear and Greed Index, y'all. All right. Let's check out some of our other tickers. SPX is at 6,983. SPY is up barely over break even at 695.94. The NAS 100 is at 25,984. QQQ is down fractionally at 632.37. The Dow Jones is at 49,018, y'all. The Dow Jones ETF is barely over break even at 490.28. Oh, the VIX is rising, y'all. The VIX is at 1707. The 10-year Treasury note is at 4.26. Gold is still running, y'all. Gold is still running. Gold is at $5,526 an ounce, y'all. It's just incredible. This gold growth is just incredible. The gold mini is at $109.35. The silver, you could buy the silver investment SLV for $108. Copper, if you want to invest in the copper miners ETF, it's going to cost you $99 right now. Bitcoin is down at 87,585. iBit is down almost 2% at 49.66. Ethereum is back under 3,000. It's now at $2,909. And BMNR is down over 4% at 28.38. AMD is up over 2% at $258.40. Palantir continues to fall, y'all. Palantir continues to fall. It's down 2.5% at 153.39. And Robinhood barely in the break even at 103.40, y'all. All right, let's check out some more news. Let's see what we got. This comes from Stock Market News on Twitter. South Korean memory maker SK Hynix has reportedly secured 70% of NVIDIA's high bandwidth memory orders for the next generation of AI chips, Vera Rubin. Dang. How they do that? How they allow them to get 70%? Maybe, I don't know. That's interesting. Maybe that's a specific type of Vera Rubin chip. Maybe it's not the overall one, because I don't see them giving South Korea 70%. What about the AI tech companies that need those chips too? So yeah, that must not be the overall chip. Maybe that's the high bandwidth memory version. This week we had a birthday from a legend, Angela Davis. She turned 82 this week. Legendary activist, scholar, author. Do your research on Angela Davis, y'all. All right, this next piece of news comes from Walter Bloomberg. Bonds are no longer a safe hedge, says BlackRock. Bonds no longer offer reliable portfolio protection amid rising volatility. Spikes in long-term yield are fueling debt concerns, driven largely by U.S. tariff risks, with impacts strongest in Japan. The firm remains underweight long-term U.S. and Japanese government bonds. So throw away that 60-40 portfolio, the 60% stocks, 40% bonds. Go ahead and throw that away, y'all. It's not going to work anymore. The bond market has been dropping for a long time. It's no longer it, y'all. All right, this next piece of news from Twitter. This is from Bitcoin TJ. He said Bitcoin will not become digital gold until a new generation is holding the largest portion of the money. Right now, that's the boomers. These people still scream into their phone on FaceTime because they think that's what they need to do. That's what they need to do for their loved ones to hear them on the other end. They're not buying the magic internet money in times of uncertainty. But when the millenniums become the old rich group in power, that's when you really see Bitcoin become that digital gold that a lot of people want it to be. That's a good game right there. That's a good game right there, y'all. And that definitely makes a lot of sense. Shout out Bitcoin TJ for dropping that again. Oh, I thought this was interesting. If you're watching on YouTube, then I have this video playing. It is microsurgery done by a robot. This robot is actually doing stitches on a kernel of corn, and it is showing the millimeter level precision that robots can do. So this is actually going to be better than humans really soon. So prepare yourself to be given surgery by a robot in the future. Which is good because the robot won't be tired. There's a lot of benefits to that. All right, next. This is from the Washington Post. It says nearly half of the mortality gap between black and white adults can be traced to the toll of stress and inflammation. A new study shows these two biomarkers bolster the weathering hypothesis that links systematic racism to health disparities. Well, if that's the case, shouldn't we be able to get our retirement earlier? Like, if they have this data, then don't just give us the data. Why don't you do something about the data? Anyway, next. This is from BBC News World. U.S. YouTube star iShowSpeed gets his Ghanaian passport as his Africa tour ends, y'all. Shout out iShowSpeed, the most famous streamer in the world ever. Running that bag up, making $1 million a month. Millions of dollars a month, y'all. All right, this next piece of news comes from this 16-year-old girl created earrings that take photos of attackers and alerts the police in seconds. This girl, she was from Africa, and it was so much craziness going on that she used her intelligence to create these earrings. She's a South African inventor. Bohale Mfale. I probably said that wrong. But she created a alerting earpiece, a discreet earring-like device that captures photos of attackers via a hidden camera and sends location alerts to police and contacts in seconds. Developed in 2020 amid South Africa's gender-based violence crisis, where over 42,000 SAs were reported in 2023. The invention won a bronze medal at the National Science Expo and it was very inspirational. Her company piloting production in high-risk areas. Salute to that sister, man. That's very important. All right. Before we get to this next piece of news, let's check out the heat map, y'all. Let's see where money is flowing into and money is flowing out of. It's a lot of gray on this heat map, y'all. A lot of gray in this heat map. Microsoft is down crazy, almost 10%. Meta is up 7.5%. IBM is up 8.5%. Palantir is down 3.8%. Salesforce is down almost 7.5%. AppLovin is up 3%. Caterpillar is up 5.25%. Lam Research is up almost 4%. AMAT is up 1%. ExxonMobil is up almost 3%. Chevron is up almost 2.5%. So that's the heat map, y'all. All right, let's check out some of our other ETFs that we like to look at. IWM, the Russell 2000 is up 0.25% at 263.91. SPYM is down 0.25% at 81.60. QQQM is down 0.75% at 258.71. SPYG is down 0.75% at 107.95. SOXQ is up fractionally at 65.51. TQQQ is down almost 2.5% at 55.70. SOXL is up 0.25% at 70.41. SOXX broke an all-time high today. SOXX broke an all-time high. The new all-time high for SOXX is 363.82. XLG is down almost 1% at 58.76. The IVES 30, Dan Ives Webbush AI Revolution ETF is down 1% at 33.19. SPYI is down 0.25% at 52.72. And QQQI is down 0.5% at 54.21. We made it to 54.50 yesterday, but that thing done pull back, y'all. Dang. All right, let's check out some more news. This is interesting. So they talked about the Somalian fraud, but here's another one. Check it out, y'all. This Dr. Oz is the one who exposed this one.
Writing on both sides. So you can see these are medical buildings. They've got Cyrillic writing, Russian, Armenian writing. On both sides, there's lots of action, it seems. I don't know how many patients are getting care, but in this 4-block area in Los Angeles, there are 42 hospices. So either there are a lot of people dying here, or you've got a fraudulent activity that is so good that everyone wants to get in on it. I'm in Van Nuys in Los Angeles, and this boarded up area above my head here is a big hospice center. There are apparently quite a few hospices around here, 42 within a 4-block radius. And these guys stole $16 million. Listen carefully. The main guy went to jail for 2 years, stealing $16 million. It's a good trade-off for a lot of folks. And if you look at it, it's pretty indescript. There wasn't anyone really in there. They weren't doing any services. They just got an address they could claim was a hospice. And then they ran the business, claiming people were at home getting services, which they really weren't. What we have learned is there's roughly $3.5 billion of fraud taking place here in Los Angeles in hospice and home care. It's run quite a bit of it by the Russian Armenian mafia. You notice the lettering and language behind me is of that dialect. And it also highlights the fact that
I can't even read
organized crime, mafia deal, where you've got folks who have systemically recruited doctors to write false prescriptions, hundreds of doctors participating. They've got 100,000 patients who they've tricked or paid to give them their beneficiary numbers so they can perpetuate the fraud. And then the criminals are just running the whole organization and quickly scurrying away when law enforcement does get around to prosecuting them. Unfortunately, in California, there has not been a lot of attention on these problems. That's going to change. the U.S. Attorney, the FBI, everyone's now focused on the fact that in this state, which has about $30 billion worth of home and community-based services, most of it might be fraudulent. Those are big numbers, and we're taking it seriously. The president's not going to tolerate this anymore.
Dang, that is crazy. You thought that fraud was crazy in New York. No, it's it's happening in Los Angeles too, y'all. 42 hospices in a 4-block radius. Dang, they said he only got 2 years and he stole 16 million? Wow, that is crazy. All right, next. If you're watching on YouTube, shout out to everybody on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. If you're watching on YouTube, you can actually see the video. It is a robotic snowblower that is doing the work of a human. And it's doing a great job. Yeah. The robot's taking all jobs. That's pretty dope. Alright. I thought this was interesting. The physical education in kindergarten in China. I don't know if American children can do this. You have to be on YouTube to see it. But yeah, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope for sure. Yeah, China's definitely going to take over, y'all. China's going to be the number one superpower. Without a doubt. All right. This next clip comes from Ray Dalio. It's about a 30-second clip. Let me go ahead and play it.
So, for example, last year, American markets significantly underperformed foreign markets. And people don't quite realize that. And the best asset class, in a sense, was gold. But think of that as being the money. So, in answer to your question, I've learned, that was a lesson I learned, that if there's a depreciation in the value of money, it makes everything look like it's going up. So
if there's a depreciation in the value of money, it makes it look like everything is going up. Woo. That's tough. All right. This next clip is from China.
Everything is AI, and that robot serves you. You just choose whatever you want, like a Coca-Cola. Boom. Then I just scan it.
So if you're not able to see it here, there's a kiosk in China with a robot working there and no human working there. So you just go put your order in on what looks like an iPad, and then you pay on that, and then the robot will turn around, grab your order, and give it to you. No humans in the store, all 100% robot controlled kiosk, y'all. The future is now. We are here. It looks pretty dope too. So all the human has to do is stock up the products and then let the robot work there. That's pretty dope. All right, we got another clip from Ray Dalio. He's pretty bearish. Check it out, y'all.
it's the beginning of the end of the monetary system as we know it. It's not just the US dollar, it's the fiat monetary currencies. So the UK, the Euro, Japan, China all have similar debt problems and so on, and are dealing with the same interrelationships, which is the reason you're seeing gold being chosen by the central banks. They want a currency. Gold has always been the main currency, and it's the only non-fiat currency, in other words, not the currency that can't be printed, that they want. And so that's why you're seeing central banks move and sovereign wealth funds move to gold, and that's the nature of the shift of the monetary system.
Uh-oh. That's troublesome for the dollar, y'all. Very troublesome for the dollar. All right, next piece of news. ByteDance, Alibaba, they're going to launch new AI models next month. And these are some great models, y'all. They are upgraded versions of their Dubao and Quinn AI models. This is intensifying China's domestic competition amid AI export restrictions on advanced chips. Both models have climbed global benchmarks, with Quinn 72B Instruct ranking third on Hugging Face's open LLM leaderboard as of late last year, trailing only Meta's Llama 3 and Microsoft's Phi 3. These launches could accelerate open source AI adoption in Asia, potentially pressuring U.S. firms like OpenAI by offering cost-effective alternatives trained on domestic hardware. All right. Next piece of news. YouTube, which is owned by Google, will allow creators to make shorts with their own AI likeness, y'all. Let's go. Let's go. That'll be dope. All right. Let's see. This was announced last week. Enables creators to generate shorts using their own likeness for voice and appearance. All right. Yep. All right. This is what Trump had to say about Jerome Powell yesterday after he did not cut rates. Jerome, quote unquote, too late Powell, again refused to cut interest rates, even though he has absolutely no reason to keep them so high. He's hurting our country and its national security. We should have a sustainably lower rate now than even this moron admits. Inflation is no longer a problem or threat. He is costing America hundreds of billions of dollars a year in totally unnecessary and uncalled for interest expense. Because of the vast amounts of money flowing into our country because of tariffs, we should be paying a lower interest rate than any country in the world. Most of these countries are low interest rate paying cash machines, thought of as elegant, solid, and prime only because the USA allows them to be. The tariffs being charged to them while bringing in billions to us still allows most of them to have a significant trade surplus, though much smaller, with our beautiful, formerly abused country. In other words, I have been a very nice, kind, and gentle to all countries around the world. With a mere flip of the pen, billions more would come into the USA, and these countries would have to go back to making money the old-fashioned way, not on the back of America. I hope they all appreciate, although many don't, what our great country has done for them. The Fed should sustainably lower interest rates now. Tariffs have made America strong and powerful again. Far stronger and more powerful than any other nation. With this strength, both financial and otherwise, we should be paying lower interest rates than any other country in the world. Thank you for your attention on this matter. There go Trump, y'all. All right. We got a couple of quotes from Dan Ives. Meta, he's talking about Meta. Ongoing investments across the business include the infusion of AI capabilities across the country's ad stack and content recommendation engines are already driving tangible benefits for the core advertising segment. Price target now $900. This is Dan Ives talking about Tesla. Major focus for Musk and Tesla is the robotaxi build-out, FSD progress, and volume production plans on Cybercab and Optimus. $2 billion XAI investment, a big step forward as the AI story comes together for Tesla in 2026. Delivery demand stabilizing, solid conference call, price target $600. All right, let me run these numbers right quick, y'all. $1 trillion tickers. NVIDIA down 0.25% at 191. Google down 1.5% at 330. Apple is up almost 0.25% at 256.95. Microsoft down 11%. Microsoft is selling off crazy, y'all. Microsoft is down over $50 right now. It's at $428.50. Microsoft is on big discount, y'all. Big discount. Do you want to buy the fourth most valuable company in the world on big discount? You can do it right now. Let me see what discount is Microsoft on right now. Microsoft, the fourth most valuable company in the world, is over 22% off right now, y'all. Over 22% off. That is a phenomenal discount. It's not going to be down there for long, y'all. You know Microsoft don't stay down that long. It does have a couple gaps right here, but shoot, I don't see it. I don't see it coming down that far. Well, we are coming into February. We are coming into February, which is normally a down month for the market. Let me see. If Microsoft were to fill these two gaps, if it filled the first gap, it'll be down 28%. If it filled the second gap, it'll be down 33%. Oh, goodness. It's very close. This first gap actually starts one more dollar down from where it's at right now. So it might be going into this gap today, y'all. It might be going into this gap today. That's crazy. All right. Amazon. So Amazon did end up rejecting this daily resistance trend line we had drawn. It hit the trend line yesterday and rejected. But they do have earnings next week. So we'll see what happens with that. But it did reject that trend line, y'all. TSM. Oh, excuse me. Amazon is down 2% on the day. It's at 238. TSM is down almost 1% at 339.34. AVGO is down. Oh, it's back in the gap, y'all. AVGO is back in the gap. It's now trading at $330, y'all. Meta is up 8%, y'all. Meta is at 722. Tesla is down. Tesla is down almost 2% at 423. And Berkshire.B is up over 0.5% at 476, y'all. All right. So we did see a nice pop at the open, but it looks like tech stocks are pulling back. Let's check out the sectors. Oh, yeah. It looks like money has rotated out of tech heavy. XLK is down 2.5%. XLY is down 0.5% at 121. Energy is the leader of the pack. It's up over 2%. XLE is the leader of the pack, followed by XLC. All right. One more quote from Dan Ives. He said, the street, as far as Microsoft, the street wanted to see less CapEx spending and faster AI monetization. And coming out of the gates, it's the opposite. We have said that it's a multi-year journey. Redmond focusing on its data center build out with more customers heading down the AI path. New price target $575. We remain bullish. So Microsoft is currently trading at $424, and they have a price target from Dan Ives at $575. Does that sound like a good leap? Entry possibility? I think so, y'all. I think so. All right. Another thing from Microsoft. It says, this is from Unusual Whales. Windows 11 online Microsoft account requirement means your PC is automatically backing up its data encryption key to the cloud, and Microsoft said it will hand over those to the FBI if asked. So don't do nothing illegal on Windows 11 because they will be handing over your data to the FBI if asked. Next piece of news from Unusual Whales as well. Bank of America to match the $1,000 government deposit for Trump accounts. Let's go. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. Why don't all these companies do that and really give the new babies to America the biggest head up, the biggest hand up to give them a big leap forward in their futures? Why not do it? Why not do it? So a few different companies have done it, and that's wonderful to hear. All right, this next piece of news comes from Wall Street Journal Business News. Altria profits fall as cigarette sales decline. Okay, so people are smoking less. I don't know if that's overall, but they own Marlboro. So I wonder if people who smoke cigarettes are invested in the companies that sell cigarettes. That's interesting because they do pay dividends and they do buybacks. So I don't know. I don't smoke. I heard smoking causes cancer, so why would you smoke? All right. Microsoft has been removed as a top pick from Morgan Stanley. A lot of Microsoft news today, y'all. But Microsoft has been removed as a top pick from at Morgan Stanley. That's probably why it's down so much today, y'all. That's probably why it's down so much today. All right. Oh, we got some Black History. Got some Black History we're going to talk about, y'all. All right. As the first Black American architect to graduate from MIT and the country's first academically trained Black architect, Robert R. Taylor was truly groundbreaking. Born in North Carolina in 1868, he learned carpentry and construction from his father, a former slave, and worked as a construction foreman before enrolling in MIT. After graduating in 1892, he was recruited by Booker T. Washington to work at Tuskegee in Alabama, where he spent nearly 4 decades. There he was an influential educator, developing the architecture and construction trade program and inspiring countless students. He also designed and built a number of the campus's structures, including libraries, residency halls, administration buildings, academic centers, and a dining facility. In 1899, Taylor designed the Oaks, Booker T. Washington's home, and the Tuskegee Institute's Social Center, which offered employment services and on-the-job training for students. He considered the Tuskegee Chapel, a brick and stone worship space that burned down in 1957, his masterpiece. Many of his buildings still stand today. Salute that brother, Robert R. Taylor. All right. Tesla shares. So at Tesla's earnings call yesterday, they said they are no longer at the Fremont plant here in the Bay Area in California. They are no longer going to produce the Model S or the Model X. They are going to replace that with the production of the Optimus robot, y'all. Let's go! I love it. I love it. I love the technology, y'all. All right. Let's see. Next piece of news comes from Yahoo Finance. Home Depot reported a slowdown in demand last fall as middle-class shoppers pull back on big home renovation projects. Home Depot to cut 800 corporate jobs and require workers back to the office full-time, y'all. All right, I think we got one more. All right, quick clip from Fox Business. He's piggybacking on what Dalio said earlier, y'all.
From under the U.S. The dollar's going and the world is now pulling the rug out from under the U.S. The dollar's going to collapse. The dollar's going to be replaced by gold. Central banks are buying gold to back up their currencies. True. They're getting rid of dollars. They're getting rid of treasuries. We are headed for an economic crisis, again, that will make the 2008 financial crisis look like a Sunday school picnic. The biggest difference between the crisis that we're about to have and the one we had back then is this one is all in America. It's not going to be exported to the rest of the world. It's not a global financial crisis. It's an American financial crisis. And the world is now pulling the rug out from under the U.S.
Ooh. Talk about pumping fear. Goodness. Damn. Y'all heard that? That is crazy, y'all. Alright. That's it for the news. Did we run these? Yeah, we ran these tickers earlier. Alright. Let's get into some Instagram clips before we get out of here.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but never overlook how far you've already come. Because you're not the same person you were years ago. You've grown. You've put in the work. Now it's about trusting yourself to keep going, even when fear or doubt shows up. I don't know who needs to hear this, but never overlook how far you've already come. Because you're not the same person you were years ago. You've grown. You've put in the work. Now it's about trusting yourself to keep going, even when fear or doubt shows up. I don't.
Salute to bro for that. Yes, sir. Oh, this is Tech with X. Remember her from she had we seen her on InvestFest. I think that was the first time we seen her. And she had high-level conversations with 19 Keys. But they bring her on CNBC every once in a while. And she be giving game. She's one of the most well-known and respected people when it comes to AI. I got a clip from her. Check it out.
Dario Amade's letter warns us about 5 things. The first is artificial intelligence accessing rogue autonomy. Artificial intelligence is going to become as smart as or surpass human intelligence. And when it reaches that point, it could bypass the human instructions or use deception in order to reach its own goals. Anthropic's own research has uncovered this. The second thing is biological terrorism. These models lower the barrier for bad actors to design and deploy deadly pathogens. It puts biological weapons inside of computers and the hands of everyday people. The third thing is dictators gaining superpowers, where autocratic regimes might use AI for absolute surveillance or for psychological control. The fourth thing is economic whiplash. Half of these entry-level jobs could vanish in the next few years. The last is the unknown unknowns. There are things we won't know until we get there. He's arguing that this technology, which is going into its adulthood, has adolescent level constraints that we collectively need to address and adopt before these threats arrive.
Ooh, that was deep. That was deep, y'all. Man, oh man. They said, was AI gonna get too smart to take over, basically. All right, you know how we like to end the show, man. $1 trillion tickers, man.
It don't happen overnight, and there's gonna be moments when it's really, really frustrating, and there's gonna be moments when it's really, really inspiring and empowering. And if you get too high off the highs and too low off the lows, you're gonna take yourself on a ride that's very uncomfortable. I think it's just about being committed to the work, appreciating it, when it's good and not stressing too bad when it's bad, just appreciating the work and staying focused on showing up every day.
That's what we do here at $1 trillion tickers. We show up every day. We'll be back tomorrow morning in the pre-market. Peace, blessings, financial freedom. Peace, blessings, financial freedom. Peace, blessings, financial freedom.